got like 2 or 3 on Facebook. Some of you got hundreds. So if you share something, chances are, because if they're your friends or they're your family, they're going to look at what you're sending them. So you can send them a link to the show, which we automatically, after every show, it's posted on Facebook, hours 1 and 2, and it's posted on Twitter, on YouTube, multiple platforms, on Roku. We're distributed all over the country by Liberty, our syndicator out of Salt Lake City, Utah. Sam Bushman's group, Jay Harrison, keeping that network going strong. They are excellent communicators when it comes to sharing our liberties, our freedoms every day, and really appreciate Liberty and what they're doing, airing for the people each day on the network, on stations that carry us all over the country. And they do it listener-supported. And as well, you just can't find this take on the issues of the day. You don't get it at sort of like a coffee table discussion with, coffee in hand, newspaper, all the nation's newspapers opened up. And to have this dialogue, have this exchange, to open up the mind. So it's just not all hyped up. Here it is. This is what they're saying. We're talking about it, convoing about it. But really having a practical, view on it rather than skew it, spin it, warp it, make it into something that it's not, which you can find that on all the major networks, unfortunately. Unless there's pedestrians that are mowed down in New York City, unless there's something to that extent, you're not going to get, the who, what, why, where, and when. That's just unfortunate, but it is what it is. So atheists, I'm not one of them. I'm a man of faith. A lot of our audience is. If you're not, this story has to do with atheists. But there is a victory beyond the game, at least for students, that send a huge message back to the atheists that say that they put an end to the coach who was praying with his players. Yeah, a national atheist group. Seems like there's a bunch of atheists out there that just want to put an end to people's prayers, to say a prayer and let God bless the game. What's wrong with that? I guess people are just scared of it. Put an end to the Georgia high school coach's practice of praying with his players. Prayer among students at games has exploded. They're called the Freedom from Religion Foundation. They said in a news conference that a concerned local community member, this is how they coin it, a concerned local community member told the group that John Small, the football coach of East Catawba High School football in Sharpsburg, had made it a habit to pray with his team, which was filmed at a recent game. How scary. He actually had the players hold hands. And the coach was praying. It doesn't look like anybody was running from the huddle. Looked like everybody was praying. But atheists say that they had the victory. They put an end to the coach praying with the players. So the FFRF, there he goes, sent out the October 25th newsletter to the Catawba County school system, warning that it's unconstitutional for public school coaches to further personal religious beliefs by leading their team in prayer. So the district responded with a memo to principals that representatives of the school cannot participate in any student-initiated, student-led prayer or other worship while acting in their official capacity. For instance, they cannot join hands, bow their heads, take a knee, or commit another act that otherwise manifest approval with the students' religious exercise, at least where it could be perceived by a reasonable observer to display a government endorsement of religion. So how did the students and players respond to all of this? Prior to the first game, after the memo was issued, East Catawba football players gathered near the bleachers to pray with the crowd. Instead of being 100 players praying, it turned out to be 400 students praying. That's right. It was telling the Christian Post what's good news this was to see the outpouring of support. Small added that to the outlet that when you tell teenagers they can't do something, surely they are going to do it. It has really turned into a positive because at the end of the day, we are trying to teach students about leadership, and they should be the ones taking the charge on it anyway. So yeah, the coach didn't participate, but the students picked up the mantle. And they did it, and 400 praying people. It's a beautiful thing. How's the community responding? Good question. The Fellowship of Christian Athletes is scheduled to host a community prayer rally. That's right. Thursday night at East Ottawa's Garland Shoemaker Stadium. Small was telling the Post that a lot of people wanted to join up and have a community prayer. He says, we obviously are under attack all the time. This battle is not a fleshly battle. This is a battle against principles of darkness. This is what the word says. Rob Brass, FCA director, he says, he's in the Southwest Metro Atlanta region. He was telling the outlet that it was a natural reaction for us as followers of Christ. As his coach said, this is a spiritual war. Brass added to the Post, nothing that the circumstances forces in some ways, forces our kids to step into the leadership role and take the movement of Christ, carry the banner forward themselves. Part of the beauty of this whole thing is that the kids are stepping up and leading. The rally is not an end game, Brass noted to the outlet. It's a launching pad into the next season of what we are entering into. We want to make sure that the kids know that they have the keys to drive this thing full ownership. That's empowerment. That's empowerment. You know, there was a time where, you know, the Pledge of Allegiance, people never doubted it. People never disrespected it. Prayer, no matter where it happened, they did it. We were definitely much more a Christian nation, and it's a shame, I got to tell you, to see where we've come, the secularization. But we can still pray, and students can still pray. The faculty may not be able to, and that's okay. But the students, I believe, will pass this on to the next year and so on and so forth. But the coach set a good example, and they are carrying the mantle, and that's a good thing. We'll be monitoring the story, but atheists, I'll tell you, they have nothing better to do than try to meddle in small town schools or gatherings where they feel like somebody's rights are being trampled upon because they don't believe. And they make noise, they interfere, but this is darkness, folks. This is darkness. This is exactly what the devil's up to. They say devil's in the details, specifically this detail, is to be able to try to ignore the mere presence of God's creation right in front of us and all of us. Every heartbeat, we're one heartbeat away from the Lord Almighty. So it really just cracks me up. The Bible says it clearly this way, that the fool has said in his heart, there is no God. God's creation speaks for itself. And the design of human beings, the animals, the complexities of the solar system. I mean, again, I love how the Bible puts it very plainly. The fool has said, in his heart, there is no God. So there you go, atheists. Prayer will go on. People are going to, this is not North Korea. And even in North Korea, there's Christians are being persecuted and jailed. They're still praying with fervency. And by the way, that's how the church grew anyway. The new church, for prayer. Even if they were brought underground, it grew even more through adversity. But I think it should excite Christians even more to realize the power of prayer and assembly. And we still have this, and we should still fight for it. And I'll tell you somebody that I really admire that fights for religious liberty each and every day. And one of the biggest ones of advocacy is Jay Sekulow, the American Center of Law and Justice. You might see him on the television shows. He's Matt Staver. Liberty Counsel. We've had him on the show through the years in Orlando. We should have Matt Staver back on to talk about this thing. Just brought up something. I like Matt Staver. Love his organization. They do a really, really great work in our country, and he's just right up the road. We're going to have lunch together. I'm going to have to call him. Guy's too busy, though. Yeah, he's doing a good work, so it's really hard to. And I'm on the air, so how in the world can I? It's a late lunch, all right? Jon Stewart was telling Matt Lauer that he was stunned to hear about the harassment allegations against his friend and fellow comedian Louis C.K., saying that he hadn't been aware of the misconduct. Stewart was speaking on Today about the allegations that he promoted his HBO, his comedy special, Night of Too Many Stars, and wondered what he could have done to stop the behavior, to which C.K. has admitted, according to the Hollywood Reporter. You give your friends the benefit of the doubt, Stewart said, referencing other friends who had addiction problems, some of which have died. You always find yourself back to a moment of, did I miss something? Could I have done more? He said that he and others might have missed clues or opportunities to address behavior, and said that he felt anger at what CK did to the women. CK was removed from Stewart's special over the allegations. Fox News reporter Stewart also said sexual harassment was widespread in Hollywood, and even alluded to the fact that it could be a problem at NBC, as NBC News fired Matt Zimmerman on the same day for inappropriate actions towards women. Stewart also addressed a 2016 video of him blowing off allegations against CK during an appearance at the University of Chicago, saying that he regrets that he didn't take the question seriously. He says, we all took somebody's word for it, and maybe that's an error on our part, said. Stewart said that he hadn't talked to CK since the New York Times article about the allegations that were published. So, folks, this stuff is just coming out left and right. The Peacock, has issues there. And these are just the beginning. This is as I said several weeks ago, when the Weinstein thing came out, that this is just the tip of the iceberg, and I still stand by that. There's so many allegations that haven't came across the wires yet that we're just watching for. There's going to be a new one. Senators, presidents. I mean, there's people that have come across for HW. I'm not W, but HW, the dad, about groping in photographs, about grabbing women's heinies, et cetera, and Barbara knows all about it. So you call him a dirty old man or whatever. He's been doing this for a long time. HW, no kidding. This has to be nipped in the bud. It's just inappropriate. I was talking to a business owner, and is she a business owner? She's an employee. I guess they're trying to become business owners, but they run this great bistro. Let's just say this. And I think it's a bistro. Yeah, it's more or less a bistro. They do a really nice job. All right. This is like the Hyde Park section of Tampa Bay. But anyway, she said, she remembered going to work and, people, this male chauvinist would, put their desks, right in line, behind her so they could stare at her, or in front where they would have an open desk where they could actually just look at it. But the inappropriate behavior that went on, and believe me, she wanted to keep her job. She said she spoke out back then, but they just laughed and said that she was so cute. But sexual harassment is not going to be tolerated in the same ways that it's been tolerated. Companies are going to be doing a lot more on training their people not to do this, because they're not going to want the lawsuits. They're certainly not going to want the negative PR. It's certainly not good for business. Even Paul Ryan, House Speaker, is calling his people together. Oh, yeah, I'm not even kidding, for training. Oh, yeah. Did you hear about this? This was just released. Paul Ryan sets mandatory sexual harassment training for the House. this past Tuesday that the chamber would immediately begin